A lot of times people ask me, Kwesi, how do I open a speech? How do I start my speech? They have the body, they have the points, but they don't know how to really get people from their opening words. So what we're going to talk about is some different ways that you can open your speech so that the person in front of you is listening right away. Why is that important? Because studies show you have just a few seconds to capture someone's attention before they're on their phone or they're thinking about what's for dinner or they're thinking about something else. And what do most speakers do? Hi, thank you for having me. It's so nice to be here. Blah, 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 blah. And they say the same things everyone else says. Don't do that. We are going to make sure after you listen to this that you start your speech, you get your audience right away, and they're with you for your entire talk. The first thing that you can do is what I call summon. So you're bringing them in. How do you bring them in? One of the best ways to do that is to just ask them a question, but not just any question. A lot of times I'll hear speakers or I'll coach speakers that ask 3 or 4 questions in a row. Have you ever done this? Have you ever done this? Have you ever done this? And it's just so much at once that the audience goes from I'm paying a little bit of attention to I am overwhelmed. Ask one question and make it a question that's easily answerable in the audience's head. So you don't want to ask a question that has them thinking maybe, I'm not sure. Something simple that they can answer a yes to, that they can visualize in their own lives. A simple question, summoning them in, gets them off their phones and thinking about their own lives as they listen to you. The second thing you can do is shock value. A way to shock your audience is to give them either an opposing view of what they're thinking or a statistic that reveals something very stark and contrasting in their minds. So if everybody believes that the earth is round, I know you have some flat earthers out there, but most people believe that the earth is round, and you have something to say that actually fits into your speech, and you say something like, did you know that the earth isn't really round? Someone's gonna think to themselves, okay, let me hear this guy out because I don't agree with him. You don't always have to get your audience to agree with you. Sometimes if you shock them and you give them an opposing view, they will listen just to try to prove that what you're saying is wrong. It doesn't matter, they're listening to you. You got them shocked. Might give them a statistic. That's another way to do it. You can give them a statistic that can get them thinking, I wonder why he said that, or I'm wondering if that statistic is true. Let me listen more to see if what he has to say backs up how he started. Anything that gets them listening, gets them to lean forward, get them start to listen to you is going to be effective when you start your speech. The next thing you can do is you can just start right into a story. You know, sometimes in my talks, I will start with the story of my background, and my very first words will be, a woman comes home from a long day of work. She's tired, she's pregnant, and she walks into her townhouse and she sees something on the kitchen table that changes her life forever. So you want to know, right? You want to know how that story ends because I got right into the suspenseful part of my story. Those were the first words I spoke. Can you jump right into your story when you speak? That will get them listening, and our minds and hearts are attuned and geared towards listening to stories. So if you start with a story, you got your audience right away. And the final thing you can do is suppose. I call it suppose. Suppose this happened. A better, more popular way to say that is imagine. Imagine you're sitting at your dinner table and da-da-da-da-da. Imagine you're walking out in a massive field and you see da-da-da-da-da. You can just get someone to think of their own life. You can get someone to picture themselves somewhere. Imagine you're standing on a beach, sand between your toes. That word imagine is so powerful because what that does is that immediately gets the audience to imagine, to use their imagination. So now in their mind, they're thinking about what you're saying. They're not on their phones, they're thinking about you. So can you start your speech with imagine? That's just another way that you can use to pull your audience in right away. So those are your 4 S's: summon, shock, story, suppose. Use one of those to start your speech. You will hook your audience right away and they will be listening to you from the beginning and right until the end of your speech.